I'm reading from the Sony PlayStation blog right now, though. So they announced today a full remake of Warlords. This is one of those series that, like, I personally have been like calling for years. I'm like, remake Onimusha. I don't care what you do, just make Onimusha. Like, bring it back. Because for those who didn't get to play it, it was like Resident Evil with samurai.
Yes,
and that's the kind of the backstory of development of that game. Is it was a Resident Evil spin-off that they just renamed something else, basically.
Yeah, and there was that series is so weird. Like there was originally a samurai Resident Evil style game on PlayStation that nobody played, that I've already forgotten the title. Actually, I think it was Soul of the Samurai. But anyway, yeah, Onimusha came out, and then Onimusha 2 like switched the protagonists, and then there was Onimusha Blade Warriors, I think, which was like a Smash Brothers clone.
Oh, God.
That also had Zero from Mega Man X. And then they had Onimusha 3, which had Jean Reno playing a French guy who gets thrown back in time.
I forgot about that. Wow.
Well, I believe that's part of the problem, and I've never played these games, and I definitely never worked at this company. But they, not in perpetuity, signed up celebrity likenesses for all the games.
Oh, yeah.
Almost all the games.
So, yeah, well,
and that is their big.
So you're saying that's the problem because it wasn't in
released.
Perpetuity. They can't re-release them.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't know that at all, and I never worked for the
Onimusha
company.
1 and 2, they were both based on real guys, and that was like back in the era of like PS2. Like, this is the most cinematic console ever. We're going to really play up how we can model realistic faces, and we're going to have like the super high production value Lord of the Rings games that look ridiculous 20 years later.
Yeah, but dude, Lost Planet has real celebrity faces in it that America wouldn't recognize. But it doesn't mean they don't have to go renegotiate that. It's not impossible, but this re-release could pave the way for it if you give a fuck.
An interesting piece of news related to the re-release that I saw today was that it might be getting a new soundtrack, in part because the composer for it, the guy named Mamoru Samuragochi, who's a beloved deaf composer in Japan. I was reading a thing that's like, he appears to be none of the above. That it was revealed that like
you weren't here for the Resident Evil 2 news a couple years ago.
Was that a couple years ago?
Yeah, that homeboy was like,
He's not deaf.
A, lying about being deaf, B, lying about writing.
He's no Beethoven.
Okay, so this is not new, but maybe it just came up in saying like, hey, it'll probably get a new soundtrack because this happened. But somebody did point out a piece of music that he'd written for Resident Evil Director's Cut DualShock Edition called Mansion Basement,
hilarious.
And I want to share this now because it's wonderful. Are you terrified?
You're telling me this is written by a deaf guy?
Actually, no.
Apparently not.
All right.
How did you get my Casio recordings from when I was 13?
This is on the soundtrack to a video game.
You said those would never be made public. Wow.
It sounds like I dropped Majora's Mask.
It sounds like, honestly, like if this were the track that played when you put the game disc into like a CD player.
Yeah,
I could see that because it sounds like a gag reel thing, but it's labeled Mansion Basement. I imagine it plays there.